Good evening, everybody. The date is June 16, 2022. The time is now 6 o'clock p.m. Welcome to the public hearing on the budget ordinance, Ordinance 1078-1078. I will call the roll. Council President Ringsocker?
Here.
Councilmember Robertson?
Here.
Councilmember Zinner?
Here.
Councilmember Boyer?
Here.
Councilmember Schneeges?
Here.
Councilmember Martin?
Here.
Thank you very much. All council members are present and accounted for. Please join for Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Please be seated. The purpose of this meeting is to have is for public comment on ordinance number 1078, which is the the operating fiscal year 2023 budget for the city of Havre de Grace. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, by the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, and Section 33 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of establishing the city budget for fiscal year 2023 by designating the annual projection of the anticipated revenues and proposed authorized expense for the city of Havre de Grace for fiscal year 2023. At this time, if anybody in the audience is here to speak this evening, please raise your hand and be recognized. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Louis Fillinger, Havre de Grace Recreation Committee. First off, I want to thank everyone here for supporting us for many, many years. I came to talk about our budget line. It was what was presented as what we submitted was actually different than what we submitted this year. I've talked to Mr. Gamatori, and everything is understood. I just want to make sure everyone understands. Last year, we only put in for $40,000. Previous year, $56,700. Actually, last year was $40,400. The reason is due to the COVID shutdowns, we had a lot of carryover. So we pulled that out of last year's budget to come forward. However, this year, because COVID again shut us down mid-season, we ended up capitalizing the ability to use the city gymnasiums, which cost us, actually ended up being $9,510 for cleaning fees, and that's why I had submitted that extra money for this year, was to recoup those fees that we were not budgeted for, and none of my programs were budgeted for. I understand that it's not in there. I don't have a problem with that. I just ask that as the year goes on, if there is ability to supplement us with that, it would be greatly appreciated. Keep the programs going for the kids. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fillinger. Who else would like to address the council with ordinance 1078? Yes, ma'am. Welcome to the public hearing, and may please have your name and address for the record.
Hello, Carrie Parson, 840 Otsego Street.
Welcome.
Mayor, council members. I do have a couple of questions regarding the budget. One is in the administrative offices. It's going to be account number 01-1091-6301.
Gotta go slower.
Sorry, ma'am.
Say that again.
01-1091-6301, which is the Historic District Commission.
Page 5.
Page 5. That'll assist you. Okay. So there's a $17,000 increase in the line budget. The question that I have is, currently our Historic Commission and committees, and also within our own city codes, do not recognize Title 54 of the USC, which has to do with historic preservation. And they are not technically part of the entire historic preservation under the NSP. They do not guide. So they're not even part of any of the permitting process for renovations. My question is, why are we increasing? So with that, I'm also then going to go on over to the planning and code enforcement. Page 12. And I have two lines that I am questioning. First line, 01-1089-6275, county inspections. And then after that, it will be the professional services, which is right beneath it. So according to Hartford County, Havre de Grace is the only one that requires their residents to bring in a printed permit application to be submitted and reviewed, to where the city then uploads it into e-permit. E-permit then turns around and approves it, and it comes back to here, and we receive a nice little piece of paper. Little piece of paper states that it was approved by the mayor and city council for only the work described on the permit. However, the city does not come out and do any of the inspections. That is left up to the county, because they have the only enforcement officers that are licensed under the permit laws. In addition to that, electrical and plumbing, those masters can only go to e-permit. They cannot file anything with the city. And the city's permits are generally $40 to $70 over what is inside the county. So why are we paying for the county inspections when it's already part of the whole, supposed to be part of the e-permit system? And when my master electrician and plumber file for their request of permits to do work, it's all wrapped into that whole permit process, and there's no additional fees. So then we go into the professional services. What professional services are we discussing when it comes to planning and code enforcement? Are these two for code enforcement officers and licensing? Because according to the Maryland License Board, we do not have one here. Not anymore. And those are the only questions that I have for the budget. Thank you.
Mr. Gambatoria.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can answer each of those if you'd like.
Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay, so beginning with, excuse me, the Historic Preservation Commission, the increase was for council, and the commission agreed that there would be a designation of a number of properties. I think there's, don't hold me to it, 28 properties that have been identified by the Historic Commission, along with the mayor and city council, of what we feel like are historically significant buildings for the city of Havre de Grace. They, part of that agreement was that each dwelling would then get, or structure would get a plaque, and the Historic Commission was going to help on the content of what the plaque would read. The estimate for the plaques to do all those facilities is why the increase is in the budget. So that's what that increase is about. As far as the your other question on the inspections and professional services. So the professional services are for the current development of the comprehensive plan. We're in the midst of that. And the professional services are for GIS individual. We didn't hire any additional staff to assist with the comprehensive plan. So these services are then being contracted out. So we have the GIS person, and so far on with that, there's none of that is for inspection services whatsoever. On the inspections, you're exactly right. The paper system that we're using now, Mr. Boursier, and I think Mr. Boursier, Mr. Mayor, is not here tonight only because I would suspect that when the email went out for the reminder, it probably went to Mr. Grimm. And so it was probably our error in administration on that, else he would be here. But yeah, he is actually working within his group right now to get into an electronic system to tie in with the county. So that'll improve that. The inspection cost that we pay to the county, we pay for the service fee for the inspectors to come out and inspect the work. That's how we get billed, and Mr. Doherty can go through the details of how that billing occurs, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or what have you.
It is usually a monthly bill we get from the county based on what inspections they have done against the permits, but we reimburse the county.
So, let's start with the Historic Commission, sir. So, even under NSP, those plaques are available through the federal government for historic designated properties. And why are we paying for a plaque if the property has already been identified?
This is a Havre de Grace plaque, sort of like when you go to different historic cities, they have their own design. There used to be in the city, and I think there's maybe 2 or 3 left. We did many years ago, I think during the, might have been.
It would have been for the 1812, and then I believe
It was
there was
before
one
that.
before that.
Yeah, I think it was during the bicentennial. Several of the houses were plaqued by the Historic Preservation Commission at that time with, I think it was a small medallion with
What is
a.
so significant about these properties when the whole entire area has been identified?
I'm going to answer.
Hold on,
I'm
let's,
just
let's.
asking.
I'm
let
gonna
me
answer
stop here
your
for a
question.
second, Mr. Gamatoya.
Yeah.
We answered your question.
Okay.
This is not a
Thank you.
debate,
No.
we just, you had a
Okay,
question, and
then
we
I-
answered why the amount
Thank you.
is there. Thank you.
So I will just now ask about why, I understand that what Mr. Doherty said and what you were talking about regarding the county inspections, and we're trying to then go to a question, but our own system, correct, is what we are developing
No. No,
for inspections,
no, ma'am.
tie-in with e-permit.
What we are dovetailing, trying to dovetail our system here with Harford County is to marry their system, and if we have to purchase some of their software in order to do that, so it's a more streamlined system. So when you do your permit online now, and you have to carry the paper copy in here, then what we do is we transfer those permits up to Harford County. They get scanned in and they go up, and then that kicks in whether it's an electrical or a plumbing permit that has to come back into the city. So it'll streamline that practice back and forth. That was one of Mr. Borsier's first projects with his team.
Okay. So we're going to have to purchase another program, is what, to marry up? I'm just clarifying. that's all.
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith? Good evening, sir.
Hey, Kirk Smith, 840 Otsego. Hey, everybody. Read the budget, a lot of pages, went through it line item by line item because, well, I was a geek before nerd was a word. And this is my city too, and I love it. So, and I'm concerned. I have some of the same concerns that Mr. Parsons has. Professional services seems to have went up a lot this year. Not in the PD, but in, well, you do your thing, Mayor. We love you, and if you need, some extra money for professional services, I'm good with that. The administration, Mr. Gambatori, I believe addressed was a GIS contractor, company? Just curious.
It's an individual, it's the same GIS person Harford County uses.
Okay, thank you.
But they're not a county employee.
Okay, that works. IT went up 30K. We got a really good IT person, and I thought we had a couple of good IT people. Is that for city buildings or something downtown, or?
The general increase in IT was twofold. One, Mr. Thompson has been directed to have a third-party off-site oversight of what's happening here. Case in point, if we have one IT professional and we have a tech.
Right.
So if our IT professional goes down, then we have a system in which there's a backup that comes in. We're looking at either dovetailing again with Harford County IT He's having those discussions now, or to be a third-party contractor. The other increase that you see, I'm not sure if it's in that line item or another, is our cycle for our hardware, we're coming up on the 4th year, and
Correct.
typically the 4th year, we try to get it all out. 3rd year, we try to start, and then 4th year, completely out, and that'll be taking place this year. Kind of pulled back during the COVID year somewhat, so we got behind a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't have any questions on that. I totally understand that. I do IT work, so yeah, I'm doing the same thing every year because it's divided into quarters for what we do. Economic went from 35K to 115K. Thank you, Ms.
Yes,
Johnson.
I have an increase in the professional services. It's on. Am I not close enough? I have an increase in the professional services department, or division rather. I have 3 projects that accumulate to $115,000. We have a consultant, a sustainability consultant, Wanda Boker. So her position is financed out of this line item. We are also hiring someone. We are already in the process. We advertised the position through HR about 3 weeks ago. We also advertised through our procurement department. So this person or company will be a digital content manager / storyteller or writer, and I spoke about that before in the past, and that is to help tell our story. The City of Havre Grace, we have a lot of projects going on right now, and we don't have the ability to consistently tell our story. And then the third project is smaller projects within the Main Street District. So we are going to be changing out the banners. You see some of them are old, weathered, and battered. So that will be funded out of this line item as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
That's perfect. I only ask these questions because it's a 400% increase overall that I was seeing. And yeah, there's some plus or minus in some of the other divisions and departments in town, but theirs is more of a give and take. And you can see 5,000 here getting taken out and going to professional development, for instance, like a DPW, which makes sense, especially with our enhanced systems. But the overall increase just was it was a lot. 400% is a lot. I mean, it come out to from 130,000, 131,000 to 523. So that's why I ask. I have a question on tourism. So this may go back to economic, or it may go to the city council. Advertising. You remember that commercial that the mayor and the town did where that guy was singing Discover Your Maryland, Havre de Grace? That was awesome. Yet, we're cutting our advertising budget from 50K to 17K. I love this town. I took a job up here, left Virginia Beach, and never looked back. Tried to get my family to move up here. They moved to Oklahoma or did whatever, but this is where I wanted to stay. I would ask that, you carefully consider that. We are not the county seat. We are not Big Fed, even though a lot of people who work at APG, either be it south or even as far as Delaware, like it here in Havre de Grace and move here. We don't have that, innate ability for people to just drive off the post and go to lunch over at Chick-fil-A. That's not here. That's not us. However, we are the fan favorite of Cecil, Harford County, Baltimore County for people to come here. And if we don't stay on top of that dollar, our businesses, even our local people here, there could be some problems. And I think advertising needs to stay up, not decrease by, 66% or whatever that number is. It's a lot. Just something for you all to consider, please. Capital projects. I have a question on where the pickleball courts are going up at the community center. Very exciting. I'm hoping to challenge Councilmember Boyer and her husband in like an inner city tournament of pickleball courts, especially if we get another one down here over by the Lock House. We can just have. So I'm just curious as to where it's going. Mm-hmm. A lot of trees up there, a lot of branches fall. Yeah, that's exactly what we were just talking about. So what location are we looking at?
Mr. Gamatoria?
Sure.
Because I got a couple suggestions.
Okay. So it's all city-owned land. So,
Right.
If you're, and I'll try to describe it the best I can. If you're standing at the sign for K9 Cody Park
Right?
and looking toward the tower,
Which tower? The American Tower or the Water Tower?
no, the American Tower.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm
If you're
looking across the
toward-
parking lot.
Yeah, so it would be at the bottom right-hand corner of the parking lot.
Uh-huh.
And it'll actually be off the parking lot. So part of the parking lot will consist of the one side of the pickleball courts, but most of it will be built out into the undeveloped.
Right.
There's no tree removal. There's none of that. It's all like sort of flat.
Yeah, I've been over there a few times, as you could imagine, because, well, mushrooms grow on city property.
So the idea, I think, for Mr. Seipold at this moment, he's got out, and I think it's for 3.
It's very exciting. I like it. When I read it, I was like, this is awesome. Thank you so much. Anyways, I want to thank the mayor and council for their continued funding of civic nonprofits, civic commissions, and of course, emergency services, because they are top-notch here. And the new address, I get to hear them more often, and it makes me click right to my little thing to see what's going on. That way I can anticipate whether I'm going to go up to the garden at that time or wait. Anyways, that's all my questions. Thank you for your answers. I like what we're doing in the city. I have some other concerns, but I will bring that up at the next council meeting because it's really not budgetary. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. On the pickleball front, there's been some updates. I'm just going to bring that up so I can inform council members as well. The other day, Council President Ringsocker and I met with Director of Administration, and we're going to go ahead and try to adapt the auxiliary gym at the Star Center, the smaller gym, to a timed lock and have it as a full-time indoor pickleball court. That opens up in the morning, and then you can come in, and then at a certain time in the evening, it locks, just like the bathrooms down at Titans Park. And we'll have portable nets in there, and the public can go in and use it. And there'll be signage for the rules and first come, first serve, or if the city has an event and we're renting it, that may preempt. But it'd be open for the public, and we should have that done relatively soon. Don't you think, Mr. Gamatori?
Yes, sir. Our goal is a Friday a week later from tomorrow. So next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, we're going to try to move on as quick as we can. We know that the activity center is closing up soon for the pickleball, and so we've been in touch with the pickleball, a summer thing or something like that.
Yeah. Right. So they move those folks out. They can go back in the fall.
In the fall, yeah. So
For a short period of time.
so of course right now there's no bathroom access for the auxiliary gym at the Star Center. We'll have to look into that. But anyway, as mentioned earlier, we have a RFP out for the pickleball court up at the community center, and we are hopeful, and things are looking positive that maybe the original location of the Lock House pickleball court, where we began construction a year and a half ago, but it kind of got held up. The dam's under new ownership now. We're in dialogue with them again, and they seem very agreeable to help us out. So anyway, so pickleball is it's a great sport played by a lot of people of various age groups. I know that the county, I was paying attention to the Hartford County budget the other week, and I know there was an amendment made to add more money to the Parks and Rec budget to put pickleball courts somewhere in Bel Air. So the bottom line is anything that gets people outdoors to play with their family, play with their friends, broad spectrum of ages, activity is a great thing. So we had our pickleball courts at Titans Park a couple years ago, and we've definitely wanted more by now, but I'm just letting everybody know, hopefully within the next 4 or 5 months, we'll have a bunch more. And the indoor one should be the first one. And on the topic of professional services, I know that it's come up several times from several different citizens. Mr. Gamatoria, when we took office in 2015, I believe we have less full-time employees now than
Yes, sir.
right?
I believe we're about close to 16 less employees.
Thank you. So the city has 16 less employees in 2022 than we did in 2015. One of the reasons why professional services has gone up as a line item is we try to attack each thing that we need one at a time. And so when the service is done, we can part ways with that service and not have a legacy cost to the city that involves, 30-year pensions and healthcare and retirement, things like that. So whether it's contracting out grass cutting, grant writing for specific things, especially since we received this ARP money that we have a short time to expend it by December 2024. Certain topics and areas of where that money goes to requires project engineers or just different various assistance from, let's just say, temporary help. And so we are 16 full-time heads down now than we were in 2015. But again, that's why professional services is up, because although it may seem like a heavier expense, they're temporary. They're not full-time. They're not legacy costs to the city. So I just wanted to address that. Of course, I mean, it pops out like a sore thumb when you look at the budget and it goes up so much, but especially with the insertion of the federal money we got from ARPA, it's gone up. So comments from council? Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say that this is probably the longest budget hearing that we've ever had. We actually had people show up. That's a good thing. So thank you guys for being involved. It's a very important topic. I mean, it's your money and my money, and really the plan for the future of the city is laid out right here in black and white, and it's disheartening when nobody shows up, So thank you for that. I do know that we had talked about possibly doing a skate park, in town, and the director of administration had sent out kind of like a ballpark estimate of what that would be, and locations and all. But given what Aberdeen is doing, I don't think that would make a whole lot of sense for our city. But what I would like to see is perhaps, a line item where we can set a few bucks aside for building an outdoor space for, geared toward like the older kids, the preteens and teenage kids. I'm not sure what that would look like. That would take a little bit of research. I know that the Youth Commission has just conducted a survey with like the volunteer group in the middle school and high school. So once I get the results back from that, I think it might help. But I just want to put that out to council and to the administration that maybe we should go ahead and earmark a couple bucks.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions, comments from the council? Councilmember Boyer.
Just piggybacking off of the skateboard, the skate park. There's a significant group of boys in town who ride their scooters everywhere. They were very excited about the idea of the potential of a skate park. Their point of view is they want something small that they can work on their skills so that when they go to Aberdeen, they look like they know what they're doing. Because that's going to be a far more advanced course for them. Their concern currently is that they ride their scooters around town and they get in trouble a lot. These boys are the ones, they don't necessarily look for trouble, but trouble finds them very quickly. So having something available for them, even if we were to incorporate that into a place for, that would be, they don't need a lot of space, but they need something because otherwise, they get in trouble. Now, more interesting from that is when I ask them where do they go when they go to larger parks, they go to Bel Air and they go to Aberdeen currently. They either ride their bike on Route 40 to get to Aberdeen, or they take the bus. And they say when they take the bus, it takes a long time to get there and come back because the bus is not the most reliable thing, and they get in trouble there too. I don't know. It was when they told me that they were continuing to ride their bikes on Route 40, because they ride their bikes home at night on Route 42. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it scares the life out of me when I see them riding their bikes. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Councilmember Robertson.
I'm sorry, not to do a whole lot of cross-talking and drag this out, because again, this is the longest budget hearing we've ever had. So, but, no, I see your point about the skating. I mean, you know, signs all over downtown. I mean, you live downtown, I live downtown, and, you know, I see kids all the time on their boards, on their scooters as well. And, you know, signs are all downtown, signs are up at Tidings Park, no skating, you know, no rollerblading and all that stuff. And just like pickleball is the current fad, where tennis was the fad before, skating's coming back, skateboarding, inline skates, and regular roller skating. So, yeah, sure. Yeah, and I think that's part of what we had like talked about preliminary with the youth commission is, hey, you know, what would this outdoor space look like? Well, maybe, you know, like a hardball, a covered area, you know, where they can just kind of hang out, and then maybe a few cement features, which included like kind of like a rampy area, but not to the extent of a skate park. So, more to follow on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Any other comments from council? Okay. Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by, Councilmember Boyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn the budget public hearing on ordinance 1078 carries 6-0 in affirmative. The time is now 6:32. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a good weekend.